students. Thank you so much for being here. If you are somewhere that you feel comfortable turning on your camera, we would love to see your faces. I know it's so much easier to engage with you when we can actually see your smiles and see you raising your hands to ask questions. So please join us if you can. We are here right now so far with just one of our speakers. We do expect them to pop in at some point in the next few minutes, Ellen Waller. But before we introduce Ellen, I'm Christina Burney, and some of you will know me as the former director of the Career Development Center. I'm in a new role at the college, but really excited to be hosting this event for you. Mostly because I've been here for so long that I was here the last time we had a pretty tough economy. I was here when Ellen graduated, and I got to work with students as they went through that process back in 08 and 9 and 10. And now we're all working with you again and helping you move forward and sort of tackle any fears that you might have about graduating right now. There are some other folks here from the Career Development Center because they all love you all so much and they just want to make sure that you know that they're here for you. We did just start recording this so that we can put it on the website and allow others to view and learn from Ellen and our other speakers. So just so you know, this is being recorded. And with that, let's kick off. I'm going to ask our first and possibly only speaker so far anyway, to introduce herself to you. No pressure. She's awesome though. If anyone was going to show up, we're glad it's Ellen Waller. So Ellen, can you just kind of start at Stonehill and talk a little bit about your time here and then tell us what you're up to now?
Yeah. So I graduated Stonehill in 2009, really in the thick of a pretty poor economy. So I feel for the uncertainty and just some of the challenges that you all are navigating right now. While I was at Stonehill, I was active in a lot of service work and was really active in the orientation program as well for freshmen. So I served as the orientation coordinator in my junior going into senior year. I was the secretary for the executive board for student activities. And I also participated multiple years in the HOPE spring break program and spent most of the time in New Orleans there. So I just really enjoyed those activities. And I think the leadership experience was really valuable as I started to navigate the job market after I graduated. And, since then I've had a variety of jobs at a variety of companies, which I'll talk more about. And I now actually work in recruiting. So have a good, just lens on how to navigate the job market overall.
Thanks, Ellen. Why don't we, since we're a small enough group, have our student guests introduce themselves? Why don't you guys do just your name, your class year, your major, and maybe one thing you've done at Stonehill that you're proud of, or if you can relate to Ellen and things that she talked about. Ellen Jones, can you go first?
Yeah, so my name is also Ellen. It's always cool to find another Ellen out there.
Yeah.
I am a junior sociology major and a sport, commerce, and culture minor. And one thing I'm pretty proud of is that I am the general manager of the radio station.
Awesome. I had a DJ slot for a little while. Wasn't well listened to, but I did it.
Natalie?
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm a junior and I'm a marketing and communication double major. And one thing I do at Stonehill is I'm a writer for the Her Campus chapter.
Thanks, Natalie. Maddie Frencher?
Hi, I'm Maddie. I am a senior psychology major and biology minor. And I was also an orientation leader for the past 3 years. So yeah.
Thomas?
Hi, I'm Thomas DiPasquale. I'm a senior accounting major, and I'm part of Beta Alpha Psi here at Stonehill.
Thanks, Riley.
Hi, I'm Riley. I'm a senior this year, and I am a management major, and I was actually an employer relations intern last semester for the CDC.
Thanks, Riley. Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin. I'm a senior accounting major, management information systems minor, and I was a orientation leader my sophomore and junior year.
And Nicholas.
I'm Nick. I'm a senior psych major. And one thing that I've done recently kind of was helping out at some of the kind of introduction days for the psych department. So giving some talks there.
Thank you all. And two of our speakers are here. So Susie and Lynn, thank you so much for joining us. Ellen was here a little bit before you and just introduced herself, kind of starting at her time at Stonehill and then a little bit about where she is now. Can I ask you both to do the same and tell the group about yourselves?
Sure.
Susie, why don't you go first? Thanks.
Who's going to go first? Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little late, had a issue with the link, but I'm so excited to be here today. So thank you so much for having me. I always, think there's a lot of stuff you have to do in your job, and this is the stuff that we get to do. And so I absolutely love doing these, talking with you guys. I'm really excited. So I'm Susie Siegel. I graduated Stonehill in 2009 with Ellen. And I was a psychology and French double major. So excited to see a couple of psych majors here today. I thought that meant I was going to be a child psychologist, and my plan was to overcharge parents to fix all of their children's problems. And as I slowly came to find out over my course of my time at Stonehill, that was actually not what I wanted to do. But the education I got absolutely laid the groundwork for everything I'm doing today. And so today I am a brand manager of Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. We are owned by Keurig Dr. Pepper. So what that means from a brand management standpoint is me and my team are responsible for everything having to do with the Green Mountain brand. So first and foremost, we are expected to make sure it's growing, deliver the business, meet our business objectives and goals, and ensure that we have the marketing support in place to do so. And that's the really fun part. So excited to talk more, answer questions. And that's a little about me.
All right, I'll take that as my cue. Linez Torres. I graduated Stonehill in 2008 from the biochemistry department. So while I was at Stonehill, I did, all the things you guys have listed. So being like an RA and a tour guide, and never did the orientation lead thing. Probably missed that one. In my years since Stonehill, had different careers. I've gone to graduate school. And today I'm an associate director of alliance management with XChem in Waltham. It's a biotech company. We specialize in identifying drugs for further development by larger pharmaceutical companies. And my position, my area of expertise is really managing the complications of 2, 3, 4, 5 companies coming together to try to develop a drug. And as many of you might be familiar with the fact that it takes a really long time to develop drugs. And with this recent COVID pandemic and the vaccine development efforts are very collaborative. So someone like myself in alliance management would be the middleman, the conduit for information, both scientific and business, around the development of the drug or the vaccine in question. I think that kind of covers the general background for now.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And hi, everyone. I'm Christine Shadis. I'm the Employer Relations Manager in the Career Development Center. And I work with Christina, of course. And so I'll be helping to host today. And, to get us started with the speakers, I would love to hear, Susie, I know you touched a little bit upon this. How Stonehill prepared you for what you're doing now? What are some of the things you took advantage of in your time here that were really valuable and helped lead you down your path?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can say hands down that the most valuable opportunity that I was able to take advantage of at Stonehill was studying abroad. And I'm sure Ellen's about to smile because we studied abroad together. So both of us spent the fall semester of our junior year in Paris. And it was truly that experience that pivoted my career aspirations. So up until that point, as I said, I was on this child psychology track. And by going through that experience, I realized that was like the opposite of what I wanted to do. And so I wanted to work in culture and business and travel and interact with a ton of people and not have what I presumed to be a more solitary career track. And so with studying abroad, coming back as a junior in, my second semester of my junior year, I was like, well, it's a little late to change majors now. So I'm just going to keep going with psych and French and start to pull in, those experiences and those skills into what it is I do want to do. And so, and I knew that was marketing essentially is where I landed based on, well, I wanted to work in business. I wanted to work with culture and people. And I was like, marketing sounded fun. I really didn't know what that meant. I wasn't a business undergrad, but it was that, I would say. And I mean, you guys know how much time you spend doing group projects, working with other people. There is not a day in my work life that I don't interact with other people. So you're consistently on projects with cross-functional partners. There's absolutely no way I could launch a marketing campaign by myself. So that interaction of working with others and understanding people's different work styles and approaches and how you can work together to come collectively to a common goal absolutely started at Stonehill.
Linez, I don't know if you'd like to add to that and talk about your time here at Stonehill.
I would love to. It's like you're reading my mind. I think I'm going to focus more on the on-campus experiences. So I did study abroad, and that was fun. But as far as building and shaping my career, it was really the on-campus work. I was a TA for every science course you could possibly be a TA for. I work at the Writing Center, so you can see a lot of the common denominators of education, communication, and that coupled along with all of my RA work, where it was a lot of event planning and creativity. I think those two major skill sets lent perfectly into landing my first job during a recession right out of Stonehill. I was a chemistry teacher at a New England boarding school, as well as their director of student activities. And so, I remember during the interview process and then actually the day-to-day of that job, completely leveraged all of those on-campus work experiences to learn how to do that role. So a little different, although studying abroad was equally fun.
Thanks, Inez. And I think, Ellen, you're up next on this one.
Yeah, I had no idea what I wanted to do for work while I was at college. So if that resonates with you, it's okay. I am an adult who holds down a job now with a savings account, and I survived not knowing what I wanted to do for a living while I was at school. So I think that's okay as well. Like I mentioned in my intro, I got involved a lot with a lot of the service and leadership and volunteer opportunities at Stonehill that I really enjoyed. And so when I was close to graduating, I didn't know what I wanted to do. None of the jobs on the market at that time really appealed to me. And I knew that I really liked volunteer work and service work, and the economy was terrible. So I decided to just opt out of the job market entirely, and I did a year of service instead. And so I think the experiences that equipped me for that were the things that the extracurriculars that I got involved in at Stonehill that I enjoyed and that gave me leadership skills that I was able to speak to in my interviews for service work. And I ended up doing a year in AmeriCorps after graduating. So for me, the extracurricular stuff was just as valuable as the academic. I mean, I certainly learned a lot about critical thinking and communication skills and group project work through the academics at Stonehill. But the extracurriculars really helped me figure out what I should spend my first year after school doing. So that's a little bit about my path.
And I think that's a great segue to another question I want to pose to you. And I'm not going to ask all the questions. Don't worry, students. So be thinking about your questions because you guys are up soon. But Ellen, like I said, great segue. Can you all talk a little bit about the job market your senior year, your thoughts around that, what that felt like, and understand that our students might be having really similar thoughts now, but then also from your perspective, as an employed adult right now, how does what you experienced then compare to what you're seeing right now in 2021?
Yeah, I guess I'll quickly expand a little bit on what I mentioned. It was stressful. I think that is like the number one way to sum it up. Stressful, anxiety inducing. It just felt like a lot all the time. It felt like there were a lot of eyeballs on my decision for my family and my friends. There was a lot of this comparison trap that you can fall into for people that had done internships that were getting full-time job offers out of those. And so those feelings are like normal and totally okay. I think I do think the job market is slightly different. I actually think it's better now in some ways. Now, of course, this depends a little bit on industry, but there are a lot of signals that the economy is going to be picking back up, and there is investment in a lot of different industries and in areas of tech and other other big pockets of roles in the US that are actually humming along quite well right now. Whereas, my impression of my experience in 2008, 2009, 2010 was that virtually every industry was doing quite poorly because the entire economy was suffering really, really badly. So, it may not feel that way right now, but I would say, my experience being in recruiting right now and working and having this experience versus back when I graduated is that there are some positive signals that, coming into the spring, summer, fall, there will be quite a lot of job growth and economic growth, which is a good thing.
Thanks, Ellen. Yeah, we're feeling that way too in the Career Center. And me having been through it before and now kind of going through it now, I think you're right. It feels pretty scary, but it's definitely been worse. Susie, go ahead. Or Linez, anybody.
I was so intrigued with this concept of comparing, let's say recession 08, 09 to today. So I had to pull up stats at least to really try to do the apples to apples. So apparently in May of 2008, unemployment rate was 5.5%. Today it's 6.2. I share in Ellen's optimism. I feel more positive about the future today than when I was back then in 2008, but it could also have been a frame of mind. So it's totally fine if you all feel that same heaviness and bleakness that Ellen was referring to, and I certainly felt at that time, because there is pressure. There's pressure from friends and family. There's pressure from watching everyone around you launch off at the same time, right? You're comparing yourselves to one another, for better or for worse. But I think I would say that one major consistent note about going into a workforce when things aren't ideal is, employers are going to be a little choosier when you have an unemployment rate that's at a certain point. Employers kind of can be a little pickier and go for candidates that might have more experience or might have certain credentials or have had some sort of anecdotal moment in their life that really makes it obvious that this is an ideal job for them and they want to do it. So I really think that it's an opportunity to bone up and dig your heels in and be very earnest with what you want to do and pursue it doggedly. I know in 2008, when I was looking for a job as a newly minted graduate, I literally stormed into offices, resume in hand, throwing it down on counters to really show that feistiness. And I think that hardship of that time has made me a better, candidate and a better, prospective employee at every stage gate in my career. I'll pause there.
I'll build on that because I think that's a great point. While I did not physically go into buildings and do it quite that way, I felt everything that Linez and Ellen are feeling. When Ellen and I were graduating in 2009, the only friends of mine who had full-time job offers at graduation were the accounting majors. And so the rest of us were like, cool, guess we have to figure something else out. And so similarly to Ellen, I took a bit of an avoidance track as well and decided my plan was to move back to France and get a job there. And so I did. The challenge with that I did not see was that the European economy was suffering even more than the US economy. So I had a great few months of trying to find a job in France and then realized I didn't have a visa to stay longer than 90 days and I didn't really want to play that game. So I came home and was like, okay, now I have to kind of start at square one. And what I did and what I would encourage you guys to think about is everyone talks about networking and they talk about the value of networking. And I'm sure you've heard 100 times how valuable a network is. But when you're just starting out, like you may not know who your network is. And so I really encourage you to think about your family, think about your friends, think about your friends' parents and what jobs do they have? I asked my group of Stonehill girls when we were graduating, I'm like, okay, I've known you guys for 4 years. Like, what are all your parents? I knew what some of their parents did, but I didn't know what all of them did. And anyone who was in business, I asked if I could do an informational interview. And they were all so willing to do it. So I would say get a little creative with how you think about who your network may be, because there may be some really great opportunities right in front of you that you may not have thought of before. And the other thing I would encourage you to think about, similar to what Lynn said, is you're not coming into your first job. You may not have the on-paper experience that specific job posting's looking for, but do not let that deter you. I would be willing to bet you have done some experience in your life, whether it's babysitting or a formalized internship that has taught you time management and the ability to multitask and the ability to have, work through difficult conversations. Like you have those skills already. You just may have experienced them in a different way. So be really clear about what you bring to the table and what experiences you have had that would qualify you for that position. That's effectively what I did to get it in my interview at Keurig. So I've been at Keurig for 11 years now. That was my first job, and luckily not in the same role still, but I've been at the company this whole time. And I asked my first boss, I was like, why did you hire me? Like, I didn't know anything. And she said, it was my interview. And she's like, you were so enthusiastic. You had so much passion and excitement. And like, you were able to share things you'd learn and ways you would go after something based on what you had done before, which was like basically Stonehill. And like, I was a nanny, you know what I mean? So you just have to, like, don't sell yourself short or don't cross something off the list.